so much to discuss from this game, but let's look at the big talking point. The gap now at the top of the table is now just 4 points. Liverpool lead City. Spurs now 6 adrift at the top. Let's start with the match, shall we, Craig? Overall, 2-1. It was an intense affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what you were saying when we were watching the game. It's intense. I thought it was a good game. I didn't think it was a great game technically from the two sides. I think both can actually play better in their passing. But I can totally understand why, because of the pressure on both sides, really. And you say Liverpool, there was no real pressure on them because of the gap. There was. They could have really put a nail in the City coffin. But I think, when you look at, I think City just edged it for me. And when you look at the fact that it was Klopp who had to make the change first, then I think that tells a story about how the game was going. Yep. And the fact that he's been playing a certain way in recent weeks with Mo Salah through the middle in a more central role and Firmino behind him, and shoehorning Shaqiri into the team, and he changed that today. He put Salah back in his regular position on the right and Firmino through the middle, and so that was the first kind of little flinch from him. And then with City's domination during the first half, it didn't really help Trent Alexander-Arnold down that right-hand side, because Salah wasn't getting back in, Wijnaldum couldn't get across, and they got a bit of a roasting at times down that side. And I thought City, for the most part, were pretty dominant. Of course, Liverpool changed it and threw a few things at them at the end, but I thought, for me, City just edged it.
It almost had a cup final feel, this game. The intensity of it all and the pressure you could just feel on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. And, to Craig's point, look, the pressure on both sets of players was quite, to say it was intense was absolutely an understatement, because City had to win. It's very, very simple. They had to win. As you said, Dan, if they got turned over today, it would have been 10 points. Yeah. And people can talk about, say, the title race is over, isn't over. It was over if they'd have got beat. I think what was interesting and brave to a certain degree was the way that Guardiola set his side up. I was a little surprised at the back four. I didn't really think that Kompany would play. Yeah. I didn't think he would be able to live with a front three. So that was an interesting... and as the game progressed, I thought the first half did belong to Manchester City. But as Craig says again, when Klopp changed just after 50-odd minutes, when he changed his system, they started to really play some good stuff. And Liverpool, you could see that Liverpool were coming back into this more familiar way of playing. And they started to dominate the game. And it was quite remarkable that the two giants of the Premier League playing at such a level. Whether you say it was a fantastic game to watch, it was a fascinating game to watch, because of all the intricacies of what's going on. I'm shouting at the television to get Sterling off.
A lot.
I thought it was rubbish in the first half. Second half, he lit it up.
But I tell you what, you mentioned it. Sorry, Kompany in. Talked about it yesterday. Yeah. The left back position was a challenge, and Laporte going over there was a surprise. I don't think he's been playing great, but Kyle Walker being left out again was a big call for Danilo. Fernandinho was absolutely huge.
Incredible.
Again.
What a player that was.
And when it comes to replace him, that's going to be tricky. And he's 33, by the way. That's going to be tricky. I thought actually David Silva had, and he's normally an 8 out of 10 every week. I thought he was the poorer of the players, and Bernardo Silva was absolutely terrific. So some big performances from some key players, and you have to say Guardiola got his personnel absolutely spot on.
Mark Ogden with us. Mark, I need a thesaurus, I know, but the intensity of this game was palpable just through the television. What was it like actually in the stadium?
Yeah, I thought the first half was a little bit edgy. I thought Liverpool were a bit more cagey than usual, but there was a real sense of it being a game that certainly City couldn't lose. You felt there was an element of anxiety amongst the home fans tonight until they scored the goal, and what a goal it was. Aguero's finish was just an incredible goal. It was one of those goals that only the best players in the world can finish. It was just I've seen people on social media criticising the goalkeeper, but he had no chance. It was just arrowed into the near corner. So it really felt like one of those seismic clashes that you just know that result will define a season. John Stones' clearance could define City's season if they win the league. So it had everything for me, and it was a real absorbing game where two real heavyweights went at it. And we've seen these games in the past where one team races clear, but both teams towards the end could have got something out of it.
Talking about Kun Aguero, let's start with the opening goal. From a striker's perspective, how much skill is involved in that?
Well, an incredible amount of skill and anticipation. Firstly, he went down, he tried to draw the penalty. Then as the ball's cleared out, he engaged himself, and one of the greatest things about being a striker, if you're hunting around that near post, and I say all the time, the near post run is the best run in football, because you take the goalkeeper, you take the defence with it. He didn't actually make a run, but he stayed engaged, and the concentration level and that first touch, as Mark just said, his first touch was ridiculous, and the option that he had was to go roof. That's all he could do, and he executed.
Yeah.
It was perfection. It was a quality performance from him tonight, because sometimes he plays not quite full throttle for me, Aguero. I love Aguero. I think I've got him winning the Golden Boot this year, because I think he's a sensational striker. But tonight he had the bit between his teeth, and you could see he was making runs. He was aggressive with the ball. He was aggressive without the ball. He was in defending for the team. So, as Kompany said in the interview afterwards, the passion that the City played with tonight, and so did Liverpool. Don't get me wrong. It was just it enabled them to get this really hard-earned victory. I thought both teams were terrific, but I thought City.
I mean, anybody who thinks Alisson should have saved that is, for me, living in cloud cuckoo land. Seriously, because what you've got to understand is, if you're watching a game on TV, you're probably going to see a couple of replays from a slow-mo angle. But in real terms, even though he was at an angle, from the distance he was from Alisson, to connect with it on the half volley like he did, with the pace we know he can put on the ball, it's nigh on impossible for him to get his hands up by the time that ball's in the roof of the net. That's how hard that ball struck. Now, it may look a little different on a slow-mo, because most things do, but I think there's absolutely no blame there whatsoever. It was an immense finish from a guy who we've seen do it time after time after time. He's had his injury problems of late, as they've had with Fernandinho, and I thought those two, along with Bernardo Silva, were just a huge difference in getting over the line.
Also, Danny, to highlight what Aguero did, that was calculated. What Aguero did, that wasn't that wasn't somebody swinging his leg. That was a calculated decision for him to go roof. That was the only place he could put that ball in the back of the net.